So guys, before we get into this video, let me take you through some of the headlines making waves on the social media. Like this one says, it will no longer be tolerated. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu warns against Christian genocide in Nigeria. And this one here says, I hope he helps send these jihadists to God. Nigerians welcome Netanyahu's intervention on Christian genocide. And this one here says, angry Kaduna youth reportedly attacked lawmaker over defection to APC. Endorsement of Tinubu controversial tax law. So guys, the northern youths are not happy with, people who are associating themselves with the Tinubu's new tax law. And this one here says, open grazing in Ghana is causing problem for the Fulanis. Either they adopt modern ranching or continue to become a menace to the society. So guys, this lady has raised alarm because the Ghanaian government is not giving the Fulani headsmen any breeding space. They don't want anything open grazing. I mean, if you graze openly, your cows are gone. And this lady has come out to raise alarm that their cows are being, piped because they are grazing openly. Anyway, I'm just going to allow you to take a look at the snippet of this video, and then we'll get into the main video I want you guys to watch. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. Greetings to everybody in Ghana. Please, I'm urging you to watch this video. Upon all my activism on Facebook, on TikTok, and other platforms, this has been the most terrible discrimination against us Fulbe as an indigenous community here in Ghana. As you can see just by watching the video and in my voice, you can feel or sense the panic in my voice. As Africans, is it so okay to do this to our fellow Africans? In as much as we are fighting for our rights here in Ghana, in as much as we are fighting for the eradication of the total discrimination on us Fulbe, in as much as we are standing on our feet as human beings, doesn't mean you should torture us as a human. Looking at the massacre these people are doing, killing our cattle. These are not cattle that can cause harm. These are cows. These are cattle that are fenced. These are cattle that are not in people's farms. Why will you then go there? Ghana Immigration Service, Ghana Military Service, and the detective units in Ghana. Why is it so? Why is so much discrimination against us Fulbe? Are we not human beings here again? Is this such a way to treat human beings? In your 10 commandments in the Bible, and it is said that thou shalt not kill, and it was not made as a specification to kill an animal or human. And then this is the case, you are there killing calves and they are crying so out loud that you people are still killing them. Where are their owners? What have you done to their owners? Where have you gotten access to their cattle? Because if they were around, they would have actually let them out. Why are you killing innocent animals? They are not on people's farms. This is our source of livelihood. What else do you want us to do, Ghana, as I don't even know what to say. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as the commander of the Ghana Armed Forces. This is sad. This is pathetic on our people. In as much as you feel that these people is from Burkina or whatsoever entering Ghana, we are from the ECOWAS unit. We have the West African ECOWAS unit, which means mainly of Ghana, Togo, Benin, Burkina, Mali, Niger. Since Burkina is part, and there is harm in Burkina, and then you sense that there are Fulanis running from Burkina to Ghana, and then you have the means to kill them, to eradicate them as you don't want them to be part of Ghana, and then you want to do this to them. It is very pathetic. Sending this to the entire United Nations, European Union. Is this how they will treat us as indigenous people lifestyle in Ghana? This is our source of livelihood. We are nomads and not stupid and not mad. In as much as you may find some people among us, it's not the right thing to do. Arrest them. Do not kill our animals. It's a source of livelihood. It will give us milk, yogurt, and every stuff that we need in Ghana. Give us wool, meat. We are naturally livestock rearers. We are not mad. We are not terrorists.
Let's start off with security concerns. Yesterday, we heard about the blast in Maiduguri, and it was a suicide bomber. We thought that we had crossed that particular gory aspect when it comes to security threats. And this was in a mosque where persons had gathered to pray. Now, you know that one of the reasons why Trump came hard on Nigeria was Christian persecution. How do you now term this? These are Muslims who were bombed yesterday. It wasn't Christians who converged somewhere, but these are Muslims, fellow Muslims. So would we say these terrorists are pursuing any agenda for Islam, or it is something else entirely that they are after?
Well, from what happened in Maiduguri yesterday, it's a clear indication that the terrorists keep changing their tactics. Initially, they were targeting possibly Christians. And maybe their sponsors would have had of the concerns of President Donald Trump and some other well-meaning leaders across the world, including Netanyahu. They feel that they have to change a little bit and hit their own too, so that issue of genocide would not come in, and that in essence will create further confusion with the stakeholders in government who may have been coming up with ideas of how to hit them hard and get them obliterated, and at least take us to the next level in having a peaceful and conducive atmosphere to conduct our national affairs.
It's quite unfortunate. Also, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has joined his voice, although a couple of persons would say it's coming too late. But there are talks that he was tagged consistently on social media. A lot of persons were asking Israel, we need the tactic of Israel to clear out the terrorists like they did with Hamas, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, when they were not even within close proximity of Israel. You know how they use tech and their gadgets to decimate this individual. So Nigerians were tagging the Israeli Prime Minister. They were tagging Israel. They were implying that they needed Israel's security intellects and whatever it was that they were able to utilize in tracking these guys long distance and dealing with them. And they kept on tagging them. So could this be the reason why Benjamin Netanyahu decided to speak on the case of Nigeria? Because all across social media, with international artists, persons like Nicki Minaj advocating for Christians in Nigeria, it went viral. House of Rep member Riley Moore, Pastor Dachomo, these persons were interviewed on the international space. The entire world was watching them, and you can tell that even in the US as well, there's this Islamophobia, whatever going on with Trump's administration. So this drove a narrative and concern, and it created a searchlight on religious activities in most of these countries that have issues with terrorism. Do we think that it was because Nigerians kept tagging the Israeli Prime Minister, or possibly because Israel is an ally of the US, they decided to lend their voice as well?
Well, the last bit you just said appears to be it. Netanyahu has always been an ally to Donald Trump, or whoever has been the president of the US ever since he has been Prime Minister of Israel. Having said that, Netanyahu would not be blamed for coming so late, in quotes, to come up with his comments of what is happening in Nigeria vis-a-vis the issue of terrorism. He has his own bit of problems at home. He is surrounded by very hostile neighbors, the latest being Iraq, and he has been fighting a lot of fights to keep these people at bay. And at the same time, he must have been following what is happening in Nigeria, and there is nothing like being too late. We can still leverage on this opportunity of his interest and coming up openly to mention the case of genocide taking place in Nigeria, And I don't think Israel will just face the issue of Middle East without supporting the U.S. in coming to be sure that things will change, especially in Nigeria, because the way the things are going, it's of serious concern if the terrorists ends up putting their foot down and dominating the space in the Nigerian nation. That means even the institutions, the government institutions, will be totally under threat, and it doesn't speak well for us. So the earlier we tell ourselves the truth, forget about religion, forget about tribe, forget about region, and come out, call a spade, come as a whole, identify these hoodlums and hooligans, and be sure we get them out of the territory of Nigeria, the better for all of us.
Okay, so this, I don't know how to call it, information circulated that the president's chief of staff had been sacked. That's Femi Gbajabiamila, and it went viral. To be honest with you, caused quite that stir. Questions were being asked: what's going on within the inner caucus of the president's team? These are his most trusted allies. I mean, we had heard last week or 2 weeks ago that these were part of the members who created the strategy for destabilizing the opposition, ensuring that the president has the lockdown, a complete lockdown on the southeast, the south, and the southwest. So they will just need to curry favor from a couple of the northern states where he will have a clean win towards 2027, and that these cabals had their different designates. There was a Femi Gbajabiamila designated group, there was the president's son group, there's the president himself, and the president's wife. So it came as a surprise when information circulated that this same very trusted ally of the president, someone who is very close to the president, who knows the president's complete itinerary, was being sacked. And it created a sense of panic, and the fact that if persons close to the president may have betrayed him that would have led to the sack or suspension, then there is something obviously very wrong. The presidency had come out to deny such information. Now here is where a couple of situation occurred recently that made such an information probably circulate. There are sources that release information to the media. They will not like their names to be divulged. These sources were the ones who disclosed to us about the military takeover, the coup supposed plan by certain elements within the military rank, and up till now, even if the Nigerian army denied it, but eventually these sources who are unnamed told us what was about to happen and how that was closed out, how they found out about that. These same sources were able to tell us that there is a friction between the president and the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edu, because of the inconsistency in the statement concerning the 2025 budget. In September, the president said we had met up the target with 2025, and then I think 4 days ago, the Minister of Finance came out to tell us that there was a huge deficit and our returns were very low, and he gave us the reasons why that was. So we heard that his duty had been redesignated to a subordinate. We hear informations like this, which kind of turns out to be true, but the presidency has come out to deny it. Sometimes when this information come out, some persons say it may be true, some persons say it may not be true. But do you think it's possible that the president would want to suspend his very close ally, his chief of staff?
Well, you see, what happens in politics and in governance is such that until the final statement is made, every other thing coming out from the mills is speculative. As far as the issue of running the government is concerned, it is their thing, in quotes. The kitchen cabinet, if you call it so, or whatever designation that is tagged to the circus, is such that they'll go in, take their decisions, do their things. The larger public interest is what you come out with at the end of the day. So the issue of Femi Gbajabiamila being sacked or being suspended or being removed or whatever is still speculation. So nobody...
Well, Bayo Nanuga, the president's special advisor, had come out to debunk that
That's
speculation.
exactly what we are saying.
By telling us that that information is not true.
Exactly. That's why I say speculative. People will just sit down, maybe rumor mills. One or two people who are inside will come out and throw one thing to see the public reaction. It's not as if it is a decision of the government. Whatever decision the government takes,
or the president takes, because I think that's the president's sole responsibility to appoint or to dissolve the appointments.
Exactly. We are saying the same thing. So at the end of the day, whatever is his decision, he will not come out himself and say it. He will only designate, he will only direct one of the aides to go and make such pronouncements or announcements.
All right. So People's Gazette released an expose, I think, late yesterday, where they said that lawmakers in both legislative chambers of the National Assembly are aggrieved with Senate President Godswill Akpabio over his directive barring the office of the Assembly clerk from releasing copies of the tax reform bill transmitted to President Bola Tinubu for assent and subsequently signed into law. So 2 senators and 4 members of the House of Rep disclosed to the People's Gazette that the embargo has fueled suspicion and internal wrangling as lawmakers who demanded copies of the assented bill were denied access. This is despite their insistence that the document was needed to confirm that the version signed by the president was identical with a certified true copy passed by both legislative chambers. And according to the lawmakers, the controversy began following allegations by a member of the House of Representatives, Abdul Samad Dasuki, who represents Sokoto State, PDP Sokoto State, that the tax laws available to Nigerians differs from the versions passed by the National Assembly. Why would Godswill Akpabio deny the House of Rep members from having access to it? Because a lot of Nigerians are curious and they want to read what was disclosed by, the PDP Senator Abdul Samad Dasuki. They want to read it.
Circulated within that level. Managed in the sense that it will not be good, it will not speak well for any leak whereby those 2 documents that are inconsistent, having gotten out of where it is supposed to be reserved or retained until they must have done whatever reconciliations or alterations for the 2 to rhyme. That's what I mean by managing it. So it will be like very scandalous if it gets out of hand to the extent that the woman in the streets frying granite or selling akara will have access to such a highly classified document. Because until it is finally released, that is when we can now say this is what it is. Not at this point that maybe, in quotes, some people may have gone to doctor it to serve a certain purpose or a specific interest, because that's what the larger public is beginning, those who are concerned, they are beginning to raise, that it appears the thing has been doctored to suit a particular interest. That's the direction they are going. And if Godswill Akpabio, as a chairman of the National Assembly, sits there and let this thing get out of hand, it will definitely not speak well of him and could cause a lot of, chaos or, cataclysm within the system.
Well, if at all this purported inconsistency was realized to be true, it turns out to be true, whatever cataclysm you're talking about had actually taken place, unless politics is infused here, because we heard reports about $30,000 and $50,000 being given to this House of Rep members and senators. They wanted to protest concerning this particular tax bill. All right, the president's tax reform. They wanted to actually protest, and money exchanged hands, and everybody who had that intention to boycott or protest kept mute. So is it possible that this panel that was set up could just be a charade? If money settles hands, they could give a different conclusion that, there is nothing like that, just to quell whatever discontent anyone has about the tax reform bill.
Well, you see, this issue of money changing hands is equally speculative, because there's no evidence. If they have any evidence, let them bring it out to the public domain. Granted that a lot has been going on concerning this subject matter, but then, sometimes those who are on the other side will want to hype whatever,
But the thing is this, none of them has come out to either debunk that information, verify it, discountenance it like they did with the president's chief of staff. In that regard, how do you expect Nigerians to perceive whatever measure they try to implement in curtailing this kind of information, or in terms of having to trust whatever comes out from the chambers, from the house? If these are the kind of reports that we hear, and they don't even do enough in debunking this information or this supposedly perceived viral claims as quick as possible before they gain roots in the minds and mental consciousness of the general public?
Well, the confusion is already there, so they will do whatever is humanly possible to manage the thing so that it will not exacerbate. And you know, in their usual way, it is politics. At the end of the day, one way or the other, they're going to go out of it. That's just the fact.
That's what I was asking you. Don't you think that this panel that has been set up, the same politics will play out there? Because even the tax coordinator, the person who put up this tax, Mr. Taiwo Idele, is also saying that, you know what, I'm not aware of anything else other than what I have with me, other than what I prepared, but let's wait for the committee to be done with their investigation. Ali Ndume is saying that after the tax law for now should be suspended until the committee is done with their investigation, because we've heard that from January 1 they intend to implement it. Bayo Nanuga has said nobody can derail that from kicking off in January. In other words, he's trying to say whether the committee is investigating anything or not, it's not our concern. It will kick off. So it may kick off while investigation is ongoing. But there are persons who say if there are discrepancies, that should be resolved before you want to implement it. How do you expect people to be completely loyal to obeying whatever reform this tax is all about?
The thing is this: if at the end of the day, the government still insists on implementing that law, one way or the other, they'll still bulldoze their way and get it done. But then, that is not the end of the story. Because once the investigation panel is there, they could start off the implementation. By the time they would have reconciled all those loose ends, they'll come out and be sure that those corrections will now be brought in so that the public will be a bit more relieved and comfortable with the further development. That's the way I see it coming, especially when there is timeline to it, which is what the position of government is trying to let us know.
All right, let's look at this, because I know you have to be out of here as soon as possible. Today is Christmas Day, and we in Lagos State, we've heard stories of negative news, like negative information. 2 persons died today in a tanker explosion at the Lagos Badagry Expressway. That's not the only incident that took place as well. 7 persons so far has been hospitalized as Lagos Island Plaza fire damages nearby buildings. In fact, these 7 persons got varying degrees of burns in a fire that broke out at the 22-story Great Nigeria Insurance House on Martin Street, Lagos Island. They've been hospitalized, but that the fire reportedly affected several nearby structures, including the 7-story Radio Building Nigeria and the popular Oluwole Plaza, a mosque, and other adjoining buildings. Now, the spokesperson of the Lagos State Fire Service Emergency Management, Nosa Okumbo, confirmed the incident in an update. Today, the fire began at around 5 p.m. on Christmas Eve and reportedly originated from the 4th floor of the building before spreading to other floors. Sometimes when these things happen, some people will say, oh, it's deliberate. Maybe they want to do some rearrangement, some restructuring in that access. But this is not the first time we've had recurrent fires at such busy access on Christmas Day or in December. It could be either because of Harmattan or some careless activity by residents along that access. How would you react to this?
Well, my reaction is that it is high time most of those tall buildings around the central business district of Lagos Island be visited. Because if you look at the buildings, many of them, the towers, that they are aging. They are between 40 to 60 years, if not more, old.
These were buildings built when Lagos was the federal capital territory.
Exactly. And even after Lagos moved to Abuja, because of the commercial capital nature of Lagos, some tall towers are still being built within Lagos Island, the Victoria Island, and Ikoyi. If you notice, even in the last 10 years, a lot of towers sprang up.
But could it be that they're too close? There's no space.
That is part of it. There's no space.
Because a fire occurred somewhere and then other buildings very close got affected and persons died.
Exactly. In those days, when they were given approval for those tall buildings, maybe they didn't look at the regulations properly, because there is supposed to be space when you are doing those structures. That's one. Then two, they ought to have done what they call restoration in those tall buildings, and that will cost a lot of money. When you're doing restorations, you need to check, especially electricals. You need to bring out all the old wirings that would have come with the building. And you know, in those times and those days, all the conduit wirings they did was on pipes, and those pipes must have rusted, and you don't know the integrity of the wires themselves. So what they ought to have done over the years was to completely strip them, you know, make out time. Either you do it floor by floor, you shift where the users. They should leave each of those floors, get an alternative office accommodation. Then you do them systematically. It will take a while, or it will take some time. It can take as much as 1 or 2 years. But when you fail to do those things, any small thing will cause fire outbreak. And I believe that is what would have happened in the Great Nigerian House. And unfortunately, it affected all the buildings, or some of the buildings around it. And this is not the first time we are seeing incidents like this. We have seen so many, you know, and it is high time the government should take serious position or stance on this, and begin to get the professionals involved to go and visit some of those tall buildings, and we'll seek for the cooperation of the owners of those properties for them to do a thorough assessment and do restoration for them.
So guys, let's quickly take a look at some of the reactions coming after Odin Khan, who is a lawyer and at the same time a public figure. You know, he's also most times speaks as an analyst. He has come out to say that how come Nigerians are only waking up to find out that we have ICC operating in the northwest of Nigeria. You know, all this while we know that ICC operates in the northeast, places like Borno State. And Trump strike yesterday, we were told that the government provided the surveillance or the intelligence upon which they acted. So Nigerians are still struggling to understand if it's that they were giving wrong information, or was it that ICC has been operating in the northwest without the knowledge of Nigerians. So Odin Kano decided to raise alarm using his Twitter handle, where he tweeted this tweet saying something has changed. Nigeria has never quite publicly admitted to ICC in the northwest. Nigeria government called the group operating the bandits, suggesting that these were a disorganized band of outlaws. US now says it struck ICC's targets in northwest. Nigeria government claimed to have provided intelligence and cooperated with the USA in that. That says they are not outlaws or organized bandits in the northwest. Instead, they are both ideologically driven and structured. The implications are substantial. When did Nigeria government realize ICC operates in the northwest, and what did it do when it realized that? So it's either that the federal government knows that ICC is operating in the northwest and has been silent over it, or they provided the US with the wrong intelligence. Nigerians have been speaking up as regards to this, which I'm going to be reading out some of the reactions. Like this person here said, not only was the federal government deaf to the presence of ICC, you know what I mean, the ISIS, that is ICC, in northwest Nigeria. The Sokoto Caliphate played mute to the presence of ISIS and to the terrorist activities. The Caliphate even hosted terrorist-leaning Islamic scholar. That should tell you a lot about the Caliphate. And then this other person here said, the Sultan, this person said, the Sultan of Sokoto is not innocent of the killing of Christians that have been going on for years. Another person here said, Like everybody is actually surprised. We know since day one that they are not bandits as called. They are full-blown jihadists. Sokoto is their meeting point. Have you asked why it's easy for them to come into Kwara State and carry out attacks? And this one say ISWAP is the branch of ISIS in West Africa. The United States needed to brand it accurately so that Nigerians can at least start coming to terms with the weight of the terror we are dealing with. Our government, through the media, framed it as banditry. US branding is correct. Now, this other person here said, since late Buhari's tenure, the media has been used to cover these terrorist organizations with different names. This is unbelievable. And this person here said, simple, ISWAP is a branch of ISIS in West Africa, and they operate in Nigeria and other West Africa, okay? Last, it go end for referendum or restructuring, or at worst, implode as a strong statement against the Sokoto Caliphate. Another person here said, they actually know they have continually disguised under banditry to commit ISIS terrorist agenda. And this one said the caliphate must be brought to its news. Sponsors should be named and publicly executed. Next should be to remove anything Sharia and Islam in the constitution. I think this removal of Sharia in the constitution should really gain more voice. I mean, more voices should really speak up. And this one says, you don't expect a government majorly run by the Fulani Islamic terrorist sympathizers to make known all that they know about the murderous jihadist terrorists. The grand finale of what is going on is total dominance and control of every vestige of Nigerian state. This other person say, I'm still doubting if the bombs got any terrorists. So long Nigerian government is involved, they will give US wrong information, or better still pass the information to the terrorists before they attack. Believe me, they got no terrorists killed. So people are still doubting if the Nigerian government can boldly provide intelligence that will lead to the decimation of these terrorists. That even if they provide, they will still signal the terrorists to find their way. So guys, you can see how Nigerians can no longer believe their government. This one say, when told them that Nigeria was now an Islamic State stronghold, that thought was a joke. Okay, maybe they thought it was a joke. God will continue to dismantle them in Jesus' name. This person says, bandits and unknown gunmen has always been a cover to shield the criminal enterprise and avoid international interference. Terrorists have always been sponsored by a bigger ideology and well-known establishment group, which all the state actors and security agencies are aware. This person said, they have always lived in denial. They knew all along. Have nurtured them to grow and protect them accordingly. Trump only exposed them. And this other person here said, they move. The more you discover Nigeria, the more you agree to decouple the colonial contraption. This is God answering Christians in Nigeria. In the end, they divide the shithole for peace to reign. So guys, this person here say, they know all along, but APC is always in denial. Of everything that would question their sincerity and responsibility. They try to pull the wool on our eyes to maintain their stolen integrity, hence bandits. These are not ICC or ISWAPs or Boko Haram. They are not ICC or ISWAP or Boko Haram. The low-lives killing across Nigerian state are Sahel gangs. They are not fighting for the same thing. Those gangs are the ones killing, raping, and burning down and invading farms because the agenda is land theft, not overthrow the government. So guys, these are more reactions. What was bombed are the boys, men of those who are in power. Terrorism is a lucrative business in Nigeria, and those in power are behind it. The Fulani Caliphate. This one says the US tend to use nomenclatures loosely. The US tends to use nomenclature loosely. Ask Syrians Yesterday, most wanted terrorist was quick. Okay, let me take it again. The U.S. tends to use nomenclatures loosely. Ask Syrians. Yesterday's most wanted terrorist came quickly, becomes today's legitimate president. If bandits in the northwest could cut a deal to hand over Nigeria oil infrastructure to Uncle Sam, guess who will support them to storm Abuja? Another person is the U.S. Knows the movements of the terrorist groups even more than the Nigerian troops and understand the tactics of combating terrorism attacks better. They know the difference between the base and attack location, and they are not out for comedy. Okay, let's believe that the U.S. The Nigerian security establishment has not hidden the activities of Lukarawa. These are militant operatives in the target zone. Framing them as ISIS is new, as there are multiple groups competing with each other for dominance in Nigeria's northeast and northwest. Boko Haram and their declaration as ISWAP is well known, but Lukarawa emerged in recent years. Some of their members had Al-Qaeda links. There is a lot of hypothesizing about their current relationship with ISWAP. So guys, the North has finished Nigeria. And this other person here said, they are always ready. They were ready. They were all ready in the southeast, but by the help of Nnamdi Kanu and MSE through ESN, we are safe today. They wanted to overthrow Igbo land through Enugu-Benue border and Ebonyi axis. It was imminent, but God of Igbo inspired Nnamdi Kanu to establish ESN to the glory of God, though infiltrated later. Okay, and this person say, assuming without conceding Nigerian government is wrong or mischievous, how sure are we the terrorists struck by the United States are actually Islamic State? Is it possible the US is classifying the targets ISIS to justify their narrative of Christian genocide? So, guys, there's a whole lot still to be well understood when it comes to what is happening in Nigeria. So, Chidio in Kano Street is saying that it's either that the federal government knew that these terrorist organizations have been existing in the southwest and they decide to keep quiet, calling them bandits, or they provided America with the wrong intelligence, since they said they provided the intelligence. Meaning the terrorists might be in Borno State, but you sent America to Sokoto State, which are like in opposite direction. Another discussion here is, if Trump is fighting for the Christians, why bomb the ICC? Trump should focus first on the Fulani militias, who are the ones killing Christians to take over their lands. Why is Trump going after the ISIS or ISWAP? And don't forget, I repeat again, the foreign minister said they provided intelligence. Does it mean that they provided intelligence to save the Fulanis and then directed the U.S. anger to the militants or the terrorists in Sokoto? So there are still a lot of questions to be answered, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.